Hey folks, tonight I'm having some Wagyu beef for dinner. This is a picanha roast. It's the top sirloin with the fat cap located just underneath just in front of the rump roast on the cow. You don't see this much in North American butcher shops, grocery stores, because our butchers around here usually cut it up and serve it in their rump roasts or some other cut. They don't really cut it this way, but it's very popular in South America and especially Brazil and Argentina. But this is a special picanha because it's Wagyu beef. Wagyu means Japanese cattle, and this is 100% full-blood Japanese Koroge Wagyu cattle. It wasn't raised in Japan. It was raised in Ohio, actually, but it's 100% Japanese cow, and it's treated just like those high-end farms in Japan do. What's also special about this picanha roast is that it's been dry aged for at least 28 days. I didn't dry age this myself. My supplier dry aged it, but it's going to be absolutely delicious. So the way I'm going to cook it, there's usually two ways to cook it. If you've ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse and had picanha, you've seen those big hunks of meat on skewers. That's one way to cook it, but I think the best way to cook it is just plain old steaks. So, to give you a better look at what we got here, it's sirloin. It's sirloin meat, but it has a nice fat cap on it right here, and don't even think about trimming this off. Otherwise, it's not really picanha. But the way we're going to cut it into steaks is by slicing it with the grain. So the grain's pretty easy to spot here with all this fat. But the first thing we got to do is do a little bit of trimming because the supplier didn't fully trim it, but we'll get started doing that. It shouldn't take too long. Get some of these, if you can see what I'm doing, get some of these pieces here off. This is hard fat that won't really render down, and it's easiest to trim it all off while it's whole before you cut it up into steaks. So that's what I'm doing here. And all this right here, this is silver skin fat, not really tasty, won't really render. It's kind of interesting, difficult to do this on camera, but we'll manage. If I have to stand up, I will. This piece going off. Let's see, this guy's just tearing right off, right here. Yeah, get those nasties off of there. That'd be chewy, tough. Y'all know all about that, don't you? I'm sure y'all know plenty about beef. So let's get all of those little bits off of here. Now I'm planning to just cook up a couple steaks tonight, and the rest I'll vacuum seal individually and freeze, and I'll pull out whenever I want them. But tonight there's a couple that are going to be going on the charcoal grill, and that's, I think, the best way to cook it. Really, it's the traditional Brazilian way to cook it is over charcoal. And there's a good reason why. It's because it's the best. So, there's just one little bit of silver skin right here. As you can see the work I'm doing. Got it mostly trimmed up. There's some little bit of fat and skin over here, but a big chunk over here, and we'll get that off real quick. need to stand up. Get some leverage here. Alrighty. This is going to be some of the best steak I've ever had. Now, if you're curious what picanha is like, since I'm sure plenty of people haven't had it, I hadn't had it until a couple months ago, but I think it is right up there in terms of quality with the ribeye, and yeah, well, ribeye is generally my favorite, but I need to sharpen my knife is what I need to do. Chunk off. Oh yeah. Oh man, now you can really see that. Oh, meat cross section, look at that. Oh man, it's gonna be juicy, delicious. Trying to be real careful here and not waste any of this because, oh man, it's high quality stuff. Just a little bit of silver skin left over here and over here, and we'll be almost done. So. All right. Now, take that big nasty guy off. That would be so chewy if you would try to eat it. This little hunk of fat cap that's curling around the side, you can take that off too. But other than that, leave that fat cap on. Okay, so got our trimmings. This is already mostly trimmed, but had to do a little bit of work. But here's what we got in terms of trimmings. A lot of silver skin and hard fat in there. Save some of that fat, I suppose, if you really want to try and render it down, but it's not going to render easily. Let's square it up so we get some nice looking steaks out of it. All right. Now, steak time. Grain is, well, it's going this way. Here most of the way. So I'll be cutting with the grain into steaks so that my final cut is against the grain. Don't really want to go any thicker than 1.5 inches, about 1.25 inches is perfect. Just kind of eyeballing here, but let's see. Yeah, straighten it out, so we'll go right this way. Put that fat cap in. Oh yeah. And it's nice looking picanha steak. Oh yeah. And because it's not really cut into a cross section, you can't really see the full marbling. But in some parts you can, so. I'm just gonna cut this all up into steaks and we're just gonna save some two good looking ones. Oh, to cook tonight. Oh yeah. Oh boy. Oh yeah. Now you see the grain starts to kind of curve. It's straight here, then it kind of starts to curve and go this way a little bit. You want to keep it with the grain. So if you gotta kind of change the angle of your cutting a little bit, that's all right. Oh boy. All right, almost done. Ooh, chunk of hard fat in the middle of that. All right, so we got 6 beautiful steaks, one of which is nice and thick cut. Oh, look at that guy. Yeah. Oh, let's just assemble these nice and pretty like. There you have it. Ooh, let's get a little shot of that. Yeah, some good looking stuff. All right, well, happy eating. I'm gonna get to grilling.